What it do, what it do, how y'all feeling? Welcome to Ash Neil's Radio. I am your host, Ash Neil. That is I. So, we talking to y'all. Yes, Charlie Kirk, again, my favorite racist. He had a little rant the other day regarding an executive order that Trump signed to help him out with all his complaining about black prosperity. Yes. So, if you ask me, it seems like Trump is trying to roll back some of the civil rights agreements, but let's see what Charlie is so happy about. Because black folks, you need to listen. This is regarding us.
Media onslaught against the Trump administration is intensifying. And on campus, there are some people that are getting a little impatient. They say, I want more wins from President Trump. I want more wins. I'm not that sympathetic to that, to be perfectly honest, because what President Trump did in even the first week is more than what some presidents have done in 4 years. And it's not even yet been 100 days. The kind of impatient, let's just say, attitude doesn't resonate with me. And it's also not rooted at all in if you are watching the daily news cycle. We talked about how yesterday President Trump is trying to do the largest deportation effort in American history. He's being enjoined. We're working through how to solve that. He's trying to solve the Russian-Ukrainian war, but we are drill, baby, drill. The southern border is completely secured. We're going to get a massive tax bill. We have the executive order on no men and female sports. We have the executive order on no chemical castration of children. 11% more voters are saying the United States is on the right track since January. It's big. And just wait until the economy stabilizes, we get our tax bill passed. And there's something that happened yesterday in the Oval Office that received almost...
Hold on. He said, just wait until we get our economy back. Because he knows. It ain't where it need to be. He knows it. Talk to us, Charlie. What did Trump do?
Zero media coverage. And to be honest, very few people in the conservative movement have been covering this. Not enough people in conservative media have been taking the time to say, time out and pause. This is a massive victory. It's an act of courage by President Trump, who's now going at the very core. He's going at the life source of DEI. President Trump is going right at the baseline. He's going at step one of how we started to see the slipping of excellence, the death of meritocracy, and the elevation of mediocrity.
The death of meritocracy. That's what he thinks. Hold on. Let me fix my mic. He thinks this is the, whatever happened back in the days was the death of meritocracy. And whatever that was something that benefited black folks. And now the Trump administration, according to Bozo here, has signed an executive order to roll that back. And when we call these people racist, they get mad. They deny it. No, we're not racist. You're just a race baiter. Now, remember the death of meritocracy. This is what these people always say. Merit-based, right? What they won't tell you is like legacy hire. People that got into schools because of who they were related to, who they knew. Most of the time, those people have no merit. They're just, in a group of these powerful motherfuckers that could persuade colleges to allow them in because of who their parents was or their grandparents or somebody they knew or related to. And a lot of those people are like Charlie Kirk, who I guarantee you has no merit, but he knows somebody.
Root causes. This, of course, is something called disparate impact. President Trump signed an executive order called Restoring Equality of Opportunity and Meritocracy. If you do not know about disparate impact, you should take out your pen. You should listen carefully. If you're in the car right now, listening to us on the Salem Radio Network, you're watching on Real America's Voice, you're going to learn something.
No.
You're going to learn that there was something that was embedded, encoded into the fibers of almost every single one of our laws and our hiring practices that you might not know about. President Trump signed.
Really? We might not know about this, you guys. Make sure you get your pen. Get your pen. Charlie said, write this shit down. Listen up. Disparate impact. You may not have heard of it, but this was embedded in our laws. And it changed the framework of how we look and think and how we hire today. Tell us, Charlie. Tell us something we do not know.
An executive order yesterday repealing 2 regulations that have existed since LBJ and Nixon.
Huh?
That means Ronald Reagan didn't touch this.
Right.
George H.W. Bush didn't touch this.
Right.
George W. Bush didn't touch this. And even in the first Trump administration, we didn't get to this.
Huh.
But that's why exile was.
I wonder why none of those presidents touched it. Of course, some of them had their covert racism because they didn't want to be all open. But if you think about what he's about to say, this has been in law since LBJ and Nixon. So, black folks, just keep in mind, the whole DEI conversation that they try to pretend that it wasn't against black folks, right? That was, oh no, we're just trying to get the gays out and the transgenders out. And nigga, we all sat there and was like, no, you're talking about black folks. And they all kept saying, no, this ain't got nothing to do, you're just a race baiter. Why is he trying, or why did Trump repeal something that was passed during the Civil Rights Act? You tell me. And why is Charlie excited about it?
Is good to us. That's why those 4 years of us not having power, we were able to study, go deeper, and say, what is the root cause here?
The root
what was
cause.
The first mistake? What was the original sin? And disparate impact is the original sin of the DEI monstrosity.
The DEI
The government will eliminate the use of enforcement of so-called disparate impact liability. But what is that disparate impact? What's the big deal, Charlie? Come on, show me the real wins. No.
Show 'em.
You should be thanking the Lord.
Thank the Lord.
About the significance of the profundity here. It's the sort of thing that few people have heard of, but has completely remade American life over the last 50 years. Disparate impact is a legal doctrine that holds that any rule,
right,
any policy, or requirement can be held to be illegal discrimination if it has a disparate impact on 2 different groups. So, for example, in 1971, there was a Supreme Court case.
Okay. I'm going to give him some time to see if he tells us those groups. Because you see how he tried to slide in there all these 2 different groups that were being discriminated against. Well, a lot of us that actually do know, we had affirmative action that helped black folks and primarily white women. So I think these 2 groups were white women and black people. Is there going to be a caveat in this new repealing of law where Trump is going to be okay with the women, the white women? But is this just to get black folks from working and going to school? Are you saying, Charlie, that you are okay with companies and universities discriminating on people because of their race? Are you saying that when we decided to allow black people into colleges and the workforce, that was our original sin? All right, Charlie, I'm listening.
Griggs v. Duke Power Company.
Yes.
Duke Power was sued because for people to get certain jobs at the company,
right,
they required them to either have a high school diploma or pass an aptitude test. Black applicants were less likely to have a diploma.
Right.
And they didn't do as well on the aptitude test. The Supreme Court ruled that Duke's job requirements were, quote, were not justified by business necessity.
Exactly.
And so they were illegally
Exactly. Think about that. This is a 1971 case, right? After a lot of laws were passed during the 60s in the Civil Rights Act. This motherfucker is literally telling everybody that, hey, Duke Electric didn't want to follow the law after it was passed, and they were still discriminating against black people. And that's not cool. Why did they get sued? Charlie, how are you not racist? Duke actually, because we all know what was going on, Charlie. Come on now. This is why This is why you gotta love us black folks, because all these hurdles y'all put in front of us, and then we hop over. Y'all get madder and madder and madder. You're like, damn, how are these black folks progressing like this? But Charlie, I'm gonna help you. When this country was going through the Civil Rights Act, right? We fought for things like education. There was something called Brown versus the Board of Education, Charlie. So, with Duke knowing that black folks were being discriminated against in the education system, it was all by design. Duke decided to be slick and say, the only way you can get a job outside of the labor force is if you have a diploma. Knowing that black folks just fought for equal rights to education. So 9 times out of 9, they might not have a diploma. So yeah, they got sued for that. They were being racist, Charlie. Sorry, if you want to pick up where they left off, go ahead, but we're going to call you out for it.
Discriminatory, and thus the doctrine of disparate impact was born. You could probably guess why this doctrine is so incredibly pernicious. Literally every standard imaginable has some sort of disparate impact against a group. Nobody on this planet has ever designed a test or a standard that men, women, blacks, whites, Asians, Hispanics, Catholic, Jews, gays, straights do so equally well. The very idea is an absurd fantasy. You're going to have different outcomes. But what disparate impact does is it says the test itself is wrong. It is a loophole that you could drive a semi-truck through. It's a little sliver. You say, oh, disparate impact. Oh, what's the big deal here? No. This has been exploited by DEI actors for the last 30 years. So what we have is a world with a federal government.
Desperate impact. It's in the name. Desperate impact. They were impacted by racist laws. And we are at a desperate time to change that. To impact the community from the white women and the black Americans to better the country and, I guess, recognize our racist past and try to redeem ourselves. You're literally saying, why wasn't America continuing its race hate? It's like that's what you want. You want America to continue to be racist.
Or any local government that they want to for discrimination using the Civil Rights Act. By deciding that whatever their hiring standards are, they don't meet a business necessity. So who decides the necessity? Well, not business owners, not entrepreneurs, not the people that actually own the property. No. Instead, federal bureaucrats and judges decide it. Since the feds can go after anyone for anything, everyone now lives in fear. People have tried to come after Turning Point USA unsuccessfully for disparate impact.
Yeah.
Oh, we don't like your criteria for this. And they try to do some EEOC complaint.
Yeah.
Thankfully, we won all those complaints.
Oh, my God.
And this is where so much of DEI comes in.
Ask yourself, how many black folks work at Turning Point USA? Ask yourself. They had Candace Owens for a second.
So because you're so afraid of big government coming in, the leviathan of the anti-racist state, they try to impress the government, show how committed we are to diversity. Companies know that they could be...
And look how he mocking it with that picture of Martin Luther King, how committed we are. Bro, just say it, bro. You don't like black people. What's wrong with being committed to diversity, Charlie? Tell us. I know what your problem is. You can tell that these black women are taking these fucking executive positions and running circles. We get it. But what is the real reason you are mad about black people and progressing? Tell me, why do you hate the fact that this country wanted to be diverse? Why is that like a bother to you? What's going on, Charlie? There's got to be something mentally wrong with you. Maybe that's why your hairline is like that. I don't know, but don't blame us.
Attacked at any time on the grounds of disparate impact. So they try to look good by having a massive DEI department. Don't come after us, go after some of the other companies. Sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't. This system has imposed a massive regulatory and efficiency burden on the American economy. DEI, in my opinion, is the greatest silent regulation on American prosperity. DEI.
The DEI is the silent regulation on America prosperity. Two things with that. One, you're telling me that white folks are not prospering because there's black folks in getting the issue. And another thing you're saying is that because we allowed black folks to get jobs and education, that was our downfall? That was the threat to our prosperity? Charlie, do you hear yourself? Or whoever paying you is making sure that you get these videos out? Because to me, I think if y'all look at them, all the grifters from Charlie Kirk, to Candace Owens to Officer Tatum, the Jason Whitlocks, all of them, Jesse Lee Peterson, they all have this way of them. Their shows, even though you got people that push buttons for them, they're talking in the background. You can tell they're being paid to smear the black community. You had Nick Fuentes not too long ago call Jason Whitlock a token, basically saying what we were saying, that these people are just here, a black face to down the black race. He proved our point. And of course you got Officer Tatum saying, no, that's not what it is. Y'all just raised bait. We had to just talk about everything that's going on in the community. But when the talking points go out in the DNC and the RNC, you can hear them. You can see it. Everybody is on the same accord. The news station's on the same accord. It's like a syndicated motherfucking thing that everybody says the same shit. It's the same with these right-wing channels, these right-wing YouTube channels, these commentators. They all go into these colleges. Like, who's paying them to go to these colleges to speak to these college kids? Who? Officer Tatum, this dumbass nigga, who is he, right? Right? Think about it. Why is he big enough to go interview the border czar? Who's paying you? So you can sit here and listen to these people griff and dissect a lot of the shit, but there is an active agenda to get out a narrative around the nation that black folks are bad, criminals, they don't need work, and they don't need education. It's crazy. And this is the son of a bitch right here, Charlie, that calls us. Let's say we have this victim complex. You guys are always acting like victims. Well, if you guys wake up every day trying to get us, when are we able to fight back?
Affirmative action and disparate impact. That is the evil trinity.
Evil trinity.
That is the sinister triad, the three horsemen of the death of merit. DEI,
really,
affirmative action, and disparate impact.
Those three things, death of merit. Those three things are the death of merit. As if black folks have no merit. I ask again, because I know I'm going to get you sons of bitches in the comments. How is this not racist?
Most people don't even know what those words would mean. Maybe affirmative action 5 or 10 years ago.
Yeah. How old are you?
It's been enveloping businesses, entrepreneurs for quite some time.
Right.
Companies are terrified.
You hear them? It's been developing businesses and companies for a very long time. Affirmative action. You probably heard about this shit maybe like 5, 10 years ago. But other than that, nobody knows what it is. Yeah. Black folks were given the opportunity. And look what they did. You agree, Charlie? You agree. You say, oh my God, they started businesses and working in these companies now. God damn. Who allowed this affirmative action? What was this affirmative action shit that allowed these people to get these degrees in businesses and work for these companies? Like, Charlie, do you hear yourself? It's almost like that narrative of don't give black folks reparations because all they're going to do is blow it, right? No. Y'all know that's not what we're going to do. That's why we haven't gotten it yet. Y'all wish we were going to go and blow that shit on a whole bunch of gold rims and or chains and shit and gold teeth, right? Yeah, that's what y'all hope. We might dabble a little bit, but y'all fear that we are going to come together and create businesses and companies and be a prosperous community. That's y'all fear.
Of a disparate impact complaint. The system has imposed a massive regulatory and efficiency burden. It's turned into a war against merit and against freedom. We've basically made it illegal for companies to simply try to hire the most talented people for a given job.
No, we kept companies from discriminating against the talented black folks. That's what we did. They would look past that talented black person because they were black, Charlie. You should know you have zero talent, bro. And look at how much work you get.
And don't be surprised, our companies are not as innovative as they used to be. This needed to change, and now the Trump administration is finally changing it. To go deeper, we've actually seen a decline in standards and performance.
Yeah.
In 2022, the Los Angeles Unified School District removed requirements for algebra proficiency. Why? Because they said black students don't do as well in algebra. So?
I want everybody to ask yourself, even if you have a college degree, right? Just ask yourself, if you have a college degree, or if you don't, if you're just a working person, right? You providing for your family by your 9 to 5 or your entrepreneur skills and your own personal business. Now ask yourself this one thing. How often do you use algebra? How often do you use calculus? I use it. I'm a carpenter, so I use it a lot. But for Charlie to look at that as a ha-ha dumb black folks, right? He's still missing the point. We were denied that education, Charlie. You expect for us to just know algebra? That's why those tests were looked at as discriminatory. Because there was a bunch of white kids that had access to those books and the education to go and pass those tests, Charlie. But the funny thing about it, Charlie, you could take the IQ exam, for example. They outlawed it, Charlie, because, Charlie, did you know, Charlie, some black folks surpassed a high score of what was supposed to be the standard score for a high test in the IQ exam? And they started changing the rules. And then they kept changing the rules because black folks was exceeding the expectations. Bro, they were killing the IQ exam. Next thing you know, it's outlawed, Charlie. They don't use it no more. So you got to be real with what you're saying. And to be honest with you, it's all falling apart because you just told on yourself that you don't like the fact that black folks are making money.
After they removed the algebra proficiency, black students got even worse at algebra, showing that lowering standards didn't actually improve outcomes.
But he can't say proficiency.
Disparate impact penalizes neutral and effective criteria. The use of standardized testing in New York City schools was curtailed due to racial disparities. Yet these schools produced more national merit scholars per capita than other state, highlighting that merit-based selection correlates with excellence. This is how they're getting rid of the SAT. They're getting rid of the ACT. Here is the best way that I can summarize it.
How?
Effectively, you end up, disparate impact means punishing the test when students fail, not punishing the students when they fail the test. Instead,
it's actually different. See, I think it's because you're an uneducated white man. You don't really want to. I don't think you understand, or you're doing it on purpose. You may be educated, you're just doing it on purpose. But it's not the test that we're punishing. It's the access to the education that is going to be in that test. Charlie, I don't know you. I see a lot of your bullshit, but I don't know what you're good at. But Charlie, me, like I said, I'm a carpenter, right? I know more about carpentry than some professors that teach it in universities. Me. I guarantee you, I know more about carpentry than you, Charlie. Charlie, if we had a test to take, Charlie, to get into, let's say, a job that had nothing to do with carpentry, nothing, just a random job, but the test we took was all about carpentry, how well would your dumb ass do at that test? How well would I do at that test? Come on. You think you're smart? Come on. I would ace the test. You would get a failing grade. Hence, you would not get into the job, the school, or whatever the test requires you to get into. That's called rigging the system, Charlie. All they have to do is say, we want a whole bunch of motherfucking carpenters. We don't want random folks. Even though the job had nothing to do with carpentry. That's what companies were doing. We want all white people. We don't give a fuck. We want all white people. And educated black folks, even though they were educated, they didn't study carpentry. Maybe it wasn't in their school. Maybe carpentry was a part of algebra and they weren't doing as good at it. Who knows, Charlie? But for you to sit there and be like, ha, black folks couldn't pass that test, so they didn't deserve anything better. You're disgusting. But that's what it means. It ain't got shit to do with punishing the test. It's basically keeping the system from being rigged to help out cheating white folks like you.
They're trying to rework the test, not try to improve the excellence or the merit of the applicant or the future student or worker at your company. Disparate impact were applied to the NBA, the league would be even in further crisis. Not because of poor performance, but because, you think about it, like, who would actually end up having to be represented? Black men only make up 13% of the U.S. population, but they account for over 70% of NBA players. Well, that's disparate impact.
I doubt it. I don't think that number is correct, 13%. Because they still go off of the numbers that white people are 75%. As of today, 2025, white people are about 56%. You guys lost a lot of people during COVID, Charlie. I don't know if y'all noticed that. But that whole birth rate decline shit that y'all worried about, that's a white problem. Because during COVID, when everybody was subject to losses, right? Black, Hispanics, whites, Asians alike, we all were perishing. Black folks were still able to reproduce. And a lot of us had what we call COVID babies. So y'all 250 million white people in America went down to like 190 million. As the black folks, I think we grew from 30 million to 40 or something. Like we're climbing, Charlie. If you didn't know that.
Impact. Why is it that black Americans are able to do so well to go into the NBA? You see, because the NBA is an excellence-driven organization. Should the NBA institute racial quotas on the court? Should they have to bench players based on the color of their skin to achieve equity? Should they replace merit with a lottery? You can start to see how destructive disparate impact is just in that singular example.
That is the worst example. He tried to use the same example when he was going back and forth with a college student on campus. And what he don't realize is Charlie, oh my God, there's not too many white folks pursuing basketball, Charlie. If the white person, Charlie, was good at the sport, he would get in, Charlie. He would get in. You like to say, white folks aren't as good at basketball, which I can concede, but don't sit there and think that y'all are better than us in anything else, like academics. No. But, Charlie, there's a lot of people pursuing work and education. So for there to be some form of disparate impact or affirmative action to keep companies and schools from discriminating against a certain group of people, that only makes sense because a large majority of people are seeking this said thing. Not too many people, white people, are seeking to join the NBA. So your example that you thought you landed, oh, that's just one example. Nigga, that shit didn't land. And it makes zero fucking sense. Zero, nada, zip. But try again. I'm listening.
Imagine a judge saying that height isn't a job necessity in the NBA. Phenomenal example, Blake. That's exactly right.
Height isn't a job requirement?
The lunacy of disparate impact. That almost every single company lived in fear of being criticized and potentially indicted for was that, well, is that a job necessity? Imagine a judge saying, well, height is not a job necessity because Muggsy Bogues wasn't tall. Oh, really? So is height a job necessity to the NBA?
No.
I would say so. I would say that being tall.
What? I don't think you know what you're saying, Charlie. You're like fumbling over this whole analogy. Should height not be a job requirement in the NBA? No. Why would it? We have some cold ass short people out there, Charlie. But in your pea brain, you trying to put everybody in a category like tall, good, short, bad, white, good, black, bad. That's not how shit works, Charlie. I know there's some short white motherfuckers that would run circles around some tall brothers on the court. But in your fucked up pea brain, you think that's not a thing or something. Charlie, you need to get around more people. I think that's what it is. You're stuck in your bubble with all these uneducated whites and you see all these black folks with all these smiles and shit like, why are they so happy over there? My God.
Tall is a job necessity. One reason the college cartel is so strong is that generally the government doesn't like the idea of simply giving job applicants an IQ test because those have disparate impact.
College cartel? That's what they call it? It's a college cartel? I'm going to come back to that.
I should wear a shirt in this fall tour, the next fall tour. Blake is going to love this. Bring back IQ tests.
Go ahead.
What could be more fair than an IQ test?
Go ahead.
It's not even about where you went to school.
Hey, Charlie.
Now, schooling can moderately improve.
Hold on. I'm going to bring that back because he's going to say it doesn't matter what school you went to. They can moderately improve your IQ score, yada, yada. We know that it will. Because if you don't have access to good education, you might not have access to the answers on the IQ exam, Charlie. That's just lazy. But, Charlie, Ash, I propose to battle you. Is that what you call it? Is it like a battle? I don't know. But I will take an IQ exam. You can take one. And then let's compare our test scores. You want to do that? Because I know you're a fucking airhead, bro. You don't know shit. And that's why you're flailing around all these black folks that got college degrees. And you're looking like, God damn. You even said that to that brother that on campus that you were debating. Did you get a free ride? How are you here? Oh, my God. Bring it back. Bring it back. Because then you're going to realize how, I wouldn't say dumb white people are. Or you will realize how smart black people are.
Your IQ test, your IQ output, moderately. They're fine with requiring an expensive college diploma, even though those also have disparate impact. Why? Honestly, the only reason is that federal bureaucrats like colleges. If we bring back IQ tests, it's much more fair. It's much more equitable. Someone that might not have gone to as good of a school, for example, they might not have gone to Stevenson High School in the suburbs of Chicago. They might have gone on the south side of Chicago, but an IQ test would be able to pluck out that individual that might not have had the same schooling because they might have the raw intellectual firepower and potential. Who could possibly be it?
See? Huh. If we are able to figure out which one of these idiots went to the bad school, then we can tailor our business to be full of people from this prestigious private white school. Not the south side of Chicago. We need everybody from over here. I think you know you're racist, but it's okay. The thing about that, even with DEI, because studies show, and I don't know why he always say look at the data when he hates data, but the studies show that diversity actually benefited these companies. There's a lot of people without a college degree that have more gift to gab, more knowledge, they're able to do things a little bit better than a bookhead. Mind you, I did not go to anybody's college. I don't agree with no white man's appeasement paper. Sorry. And I would still run circles around any graduate. Put me in a room. But if you're going to sit there, Charlie, and tell everybody that you're trying to rig the system, please help me rig this shit so white people could prosper, you should feel disgusted with yourself if you see a successful black person. You should. All this hard work that your president's doing, that you're doing, going to campuses and trying to debunk this black greatness, if you see one, like me, it should make you sick. Because all your hard work was for nothing. Because we are still able to hop over your hurdles. Like in the NBA, we got ups, baby. We got up.
Be against IQ tests. Oh, they're against IQ tests because they want to have a credentialing lobby, which actually creates more disparate impact, which is what's hilarious. Requiring an expensive college degree is one of the few requirements companies are allowed to have, even though that definitionally is a disparate impact. So President Trump signing this executive order is one of the great step forwards to get back to a merit-based system.
We're going to have a whole bunch of unqualified white men flying these planes, and we're going to have more accidents than we had recently. That's the problem. He wants to sit there and talk about there's going to be no merit. There's no merit right now because of disparate impact. And then he talks this shit about black pilots. He always had this shit about black pilots. They almost think that their white folks are inherently smarter. That's what they believe. People like Charlie believe that white people are inherently smarter. They don't want to entertain the fact that we weren't given the opportunity. So when it comes down to, like I said, a black person that is well off, that is educated, you have to ask yourself, like, who are these people like Charlie attacking? What is the problem? Because a lot of people say, oh, the black community is this. They're all they care about is hip hop and gangbanging and thug mentality and killing each other and drugs. But you even attack the educated, hard-working black people. So I'm trying to understand, like, what is it about us that you're bothered by? And why is this a win? And whatever you did, path forward to your prosperity. Because Trump is signing an executive order to hurt the educated, hard-working black people. I don't know, man. I don't know.
When merit dies, mediocrity inherits the throne. Do you notice? And again, this is a little bit more anecdotal, a little bit subjective, but I think you'd all agree.
Yeah.
Do you guys think the country works better, the same, or worse as it did 20 years ago? I mean, basic stuff. The ability to go to a bank and get good service. The ability to have a flight on time, to not have your luggage lost. The ability to get a good driver if you want to get in a taxi cab.
That's all brown problems? Like that was brown people's fault? So, wait a minute. So there was never any late flights when the airport was all white? Is that what you're saying? Are you saying that you want all white people driving taxis? What? Huh? Charlie, what are you saying? Because you did say this was an anecdote, but what? 20 years ago? What happened 20 years ago? You mean to tell me you, Charlie, you can't get service in the bank? Why? Oh, too many Mexicans? Too many bilingual people in there that are helping other people that don't speak English when they come in and they want to do bank transaction? It's too much for you. Why are white people so fucking soft? Why? I heard somebody who was at Michael Knowles. He was mad that he had to push 1 for English. Oh my God, all this work I got to do when I'm on the phone. Push 1. Like, what is wrong with y'all? Why are y'all so fragile? There's something going on in the white race. And it's not all of y'all. It's just these bums that feel like black and brown folks are getting too much equality.
Do you think the basic necessities that keep a society going are getting better, worse, or they've stayed the same? Power outages are more common today. I think our quality of how we actually treat people in hospitals has declined.
Power outages are our fault? Wait, he's blaming power outages on diversity? Oh, you guys are so soft.
Declined rapidly. I'm afraid we're slowly slipping into a culture of mediocrity, and that is what happens when you no longer have a culture of meritocracy. And here is the sad but brutal truth. When you have a culture of meritocracy, sometimes the room is not going to look like Angelina Jolie's Christmas card, as Bill Maher would say.
Really? Huh. When you have meritocracy in a room, if you go to a room and it's full of people with merit, these are all prestigious, merit-based people in this room, it will not look like Angelina Jolie's Christmas card. That's because Angelina Jolie has a mixed family. So the black kids in her family are the people that won't be in the room full of the white people with merit. A room full of people with merit will have 0 black people in it. But I'm the race baiter. I got you.
It's not going to look where everyone is different in pigmentation. It might be, or it might not be.
Or it might not be.
You see, when you have merit You don't know what the end result is going to be. It could be a bunch of Asians. It could be a bunch of Nicaraguans. It could be a bunch of Scots. And it's irrelevant.
It could be a bunch of black folks. But you don't want to say that. That'll burn your fucking tongue.
Because we actually don't care. And that is the point. We don't care about the melanin complexion of the end result.
Look how he said it.
We care, can that team? We don't care about the melanin complexion of the end result.
Yeah, you do. Look at how he said it. You are afraid. You are afraid, brother, of black folks. Because you know that we taking over. You know it. It's bothering you. It's one of them things where it's like, I wouldn't say always, but I kind of can explain racism through quantum physics. Follow me, Charlie, if you're smart enough. Now, white folks, it almost seemed like they're this parasite that is only destined to survive, right? That's all they care about, is own survival, which is normal. That's just how all species are, right? But when this parasite comes in contact with someone who has higher carbon levels, they start to react differently, malfunction, feel like they're in even more threat than they were previously. And I love the fact that you're showing that our mere presence is bothering you. I love the fact that you can point out all this black excellence, because you're not talking about the gangbangers, the thugs, the hip-hop motherfuckers. You're not. You're going to college campuses and you're mad at black folks in corporate positions. So yes, we don't give a fuck about anything you have to say.